A short story by Paul McCann. The Riddle of the Swanship. On the other side of Popple Mountain lay the crystal clear lake that surrounded the village of Farsville. Two swans that lived in Farsville Lake had been there since the castle walls fell to ruin. Rumour had it that the two swans were actually the king and queen who suddenly disappeared one day. After the king and queen had vanished, the people of Farsville had a meeting and commissioned the help of Lawsome, the brave swordsman of truth and wrath, who was to climb to the top of Popple Mountain and seek out the oracle, who was very knowledgeable and wise. The only thing that stood in the way were the wild beasts on Popple Mountain and the witches of Green Mist, who hindered and hated all those who tried to speak to the oracle. The people of Farsville offered the ruined castle as a reward to the swordsman of wrath, who accepted the quest. The first day's journey on the mountain was one of caution. Leaving his horse to roam the green meadows at the foot of the mountain, Lawsome began to climb to Popple's Peak. Not that sure of his footholds and the sheer upward elevation of the cliff face, saw Lawsome tread carefully and with caution. It seemed impossible at times, but his perseverance paid off. He spent the first night inside a deep cave on the cliff. Just as he was drifting off to sleep, a green mist surrounded him. Within seconds, Lawsome was in the middle of a fierce battle with the three witches who had wasted no time in attacking him. Possessed with supernatural powers, the witches tried to confuse and blind the brave warrior, who in turn wasted no time in cutting their heads off with his double-edged silver sword. Once the witches had died, the mist lifted, and the interior of the cave revealed a secret passage that went up inside the mountain. The path was much easier than hand to foot scampering up the cliff face, and at the end of a week the path finished up on the outside near the top of Popple Mountain. An orange sunset fell across the sky as Lawsome slowly and carefully made his way across the last few ledges. At the top of the mountain there was a large horn hanging from a stand, with a message near that read, "All who seek out the oracle must blow through the mouthpiece of the horn at the twilight of the day." Lawsome had just arrived in time and lifted the horn, and he stood and he trumpeted out a loud blast through the horn. All around the mountain and beyond, the sound was carried in echoes. Almost before he could take another breath, he looked up and saw what seemed to be a sailing ship coming through the clouds. It headed towards him, and the closer it got, the better he could make out the beauty of this sailing ship. It was pulled through the sky by 30 white swans with gold and silver crowns on their heads. The swan ship shone brightly in the twilight. There were gems of every colour of the rainbow that sat around the ship's structure. As Lawsome boarded the ship, he was welcomed by a beautiful lady with long golden hair. She placed a bracelet on his wrist and set him down upon a throne at the front of the ship. The ship through the sky was propelled until it came to a kingdom in the clouds, and that is where it came to a stop. The sky was now dimly lit with night drawing in, and the lady pointed toward a path and urged Lawsome to make his way there. Suddenly, off the swans went, and Lawsome followed in their direction. On the outside of a huge double oak door, Lawsome found himself and started knocking, and the door opened by itself. "Come in, stranger," said a voice from within. Lawsome walked down a corridor, and as he did, the doors closed behind him, At the end of the corridor was another double door, even bigger than the one that he went through before. And he stood there and he knocked once again, and the door opened up by itself, and the same voice said, "Welcome to my kingdom, stranger." The voice seemed to come from behind about a dozen doors and a large room where he was standing. "What is your name and why are you here?"
"My name is Lawson, and I am the swordsman of Wrath. My mission is to seek information from the oracle."
One of the doors in the room opened, and the voice said, "Come in then, Lawson." As he walked in through the door, Lawson felt a breeze gently lift the hair on his head, and the door was closed behind him, and inside the room sat an old man on a large throne.
"Well, I'm the dweller of Popple Mountain. I see all. I am the Prince of the Clouds, and I hear the secrets that are carried by the wind."
The old man said. He was facing the other way as to hide his face. The swordsman was edgy and kept his hand gripping the handle of the sword, and he spoke with authority and said,
"Do you know what happened to the king and queen who once lived in the castle of Fireveils?"
The old man answered,
"I have been told that you should return with this answer."
"Then the castle will be yours, is that correct?"
"Yes, that's true."
There was a swift scurry of feet across the floor as a large cage descended from the ceiling, and in seconds the swordsman was trapped in the cage like a wild animal. Torches ignited by themselves on all the walls around the room that he was standing in, and a strange atmosphere fell down around. Lawson shouted out,
"Hello! Is anyone there?"
These huge dusty mirrors suddenly revealed themselves from all around the walls, and Lawson saw his own reflections gazing at him, and some even spoke to him. "Now I am seen,
but unseen," said one. "Now I have been, but I've never been seen," said another.
Lawson drew his sword and cut through the cage as if it were made of butter. He stood there and said,
"Tell me then, what is this, some kind of riddle?"
The voice of the old man sounded again. "Find me first and see." Lawson opened up the door and found a spiral staircase in the middle of a large hall. He was intrigued and climbed to the top of the stairs, where he landed outside on a black silver ledge. Another door stood before him.
"Come in, Prince of Firesville,"
said a voice behind the door. The swordsman went inside and found 2 swans on a throne. On each of their heads were crowns adorned with gold and jewels. "Now you see us," the swans said. Lawson was stunned, and just as he was about to speak, both of the swans flew off and shouted, "And now you don't." As Lawson chased after them, the old man's voice called him, "Lawson, if you want to get out of here, you must answer the riddle. Then tell me what the riddle is." "Man or beast am I?" said the old man. "Are you a wizard?" Lawson asked. "I am not a wizard, but I have been unseen by the world for centuries."
"Unseen, you say? Then that means you must be a ghost."
The old man cheered and said,
"You are right brave swordsman, and a ghost of the kingdom with only 3 guests. Now, you are the 4th guest who has come to stay, like the king and the queen of Firesville, who came before you seeking knowledge. There is no return for any of you." The swordsman was transformed into a swan and flew to be there with the others who had also made the same mistake as he. The end.